Welcome to where the real ones are.
Midwest thunderstorms are no joke. And it was literally like someone was rolling a bowling ball right over your head and crashing. And it was bad. I ran into my mom's room. I laid down. And, you get in bed with your parents and you're all cozy, right? Another crash of lightning real bad later in that night. And I have no idea what time it was. I wake up and I see 3 figures standing at the end of the bed.
Shit.
Like perfect silhouettes. And it was, I would say, if I had to guess now, hindsight 2020, I would guess that they were kids because they weren't that tall, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was 2 taller than another one. It was like the shortest was in the middle, right? And I could tell that the tallest was a girl. Like, this is just me, the snapshot that's in my mind. But I couldn't see features. I couldn't see anything else. There was no movement. There was nothing. But I screamed, and so did my mother. So we've talked about this for years since then. She saw the same thing. So I knew I wasn't crazy or just a little kid being scared. So she saw the same thing, and I literally, put the covers over my head. It felt like an eternity. And then I pulled the covers down real slow. And
hey, this is Rochelle Stratton, and you are listening to Kevin with Where the Weird Ones Are. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to where the real ones are.
Yeah. Weird ones only, we talking that truth. Ghost in the attic, yeah, show me the proof. Aliens creeping, they light in the roof. Minds wide open, we shatter the booth. Conspiracies deep, we digging the scars. Demons and angels and bodies on Mars. Cryptids be watching, they lurk in the dark. Mental on edge, but we glowing like stars. Welcome to the pod, no cap, it's a seance. Whispers in the static, spirits doing dance. Reptiles in suits, yeah, running the lands. MK Ultra made a puppet of your mans. Wendigo hunger, dogman strut, flat woods, eyes glow. Slice through the cut, Bigfoot tagging trees. Marking the trail, weird ones ride, no room for the frail. Talking about trauma, talking that soul. Peeling back layers, we digging a hole. Sacred geometry, numbers align. Ancestors speak through the veil in the sign. Ayahuasca dreams, third eye lit. Shadow self lurking, we making it spit. No mainstream lies. This the dirt where the weird ones rise from the blood and the hurt. Weird ones only, we talking that truth. Ghost in the attic, yeah, show me the proof. Aliens creeping, they light in the roof. Minds wide open, we shatter the booth. Conspiracies deep, we digging the scars. Demons and angels and bodies on Mars. Cryptids be watching, they lurk in the dark. Mental on edge, but we glowing like stars. Voices in the woods got chills on the neck. Black-eyed kids at the door, now we check. CIA tapped in, fluoride drip. Project Bluebeam, watch that script. Talking about grief, talking about fear. Talking about why them voices appear. Healing the mind while breaking the chain. Spiritual warfare deep in the brain. We don't run from the strange, we live in the strange. Tattoo the truth in the scars and the pain. Stay weird, the mantra we own in the name. Reality bent, so we bend to the same. From the attic to the swamp, we tracking the freak. Where the veil get thin and the silence speak. We ain't your norm, we off that grid. Weird as the wave, yo, this where we live.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with Bennett. He's the host of Broadcasting Seeds. Phenomenal podcast. Definitely recommend you check it out. If you haven't heard of him, then you're living under a rock, I think. If you listen to paranormal podcasts anyway. He's pretty well known, I think. Large following and shit, but he sometimes has guests on, but anyways, go to his shit. You figure it out yourself. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. He's a great dude. I like him a lot. I really love conversating with him. Got to meet him in person in Gatlinburg, Tennessee at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot convention. And he's like, I was talking to Doc and he had the table next to him and he's like, yeah, we're scheduled for August. And I'm literally like looking at him. I'm like, who the fuck are you? For like a quick second. But as he talked, like I was like, oh, I know who you are. But yeah, so it was pretty dope to be able to meet him in person as well. But anywho, quick shout out to the sponsor, Flavors of the Forest, raw garlic dust. It is amazing. I put it on everything, and I mean everything. So check them out. I think this is my last bottle that I have, but they have a whole bunch of other flavors like spicy, cranberry, and shit. So go check them out. Flavorsforest.com. You can also follow them on Instagram at Flavors Forest. So check them out. Go get yourself some bottles. Tell them I sent you. Also, my buddy Johnny Nitro's got a company, Wild Beauty Products. And I know the light doesn't allow you to really see it, but that's okay. The link will be in the show notes, and you can check it out yourself. But this is a whipped tallow moisturizer that I have. I really enjoy it. It doesn't leave my skin feeling greasy or slimy, so I like using it, and it's all natural ingredients. So check 'em out. Check 'em out. Wildbeautyproducts.com. Um, Also, if you're experiencing any kind of mental distress, um, any kind, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have suicidal ideation or anything like that, but any kind. The world's going crazy, and we all need a little bit of help. So 988 here in the United States, they are equipped to help you with your mental distress needs. And if you are in need of trying to help somebody with a that is just in mental distress, they can also help you help them. So um, I definitely think it's important to utilize them. You know, I really hope you stay another day and then stay another day after that and then stay another day after that until you're old and gray. Um, God created the universe and he looked out and he knew that it needed one of you. So you go that route, you're only transferring trauma. And I know you don't want to do that because you are more loved than you know. You can sit here and argue with me that you're not, but somebody does. Somebody will miss you. I fucking guarantee you. So, anyways, yeah, Bennett has some crazy Bigfoot encounters, some crazy ghost encounters, um, and I really enjoyed this conversation. It was super fascinating listening to all of his stories. Um, so if you get a chance, check out his show. Other than that, please like, follow, share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, I'm going to put the link in the show description. I am trying out I'm in the competition for Face of Halloween where I get to meet Jamie Lee Curtis, Kane Hodder, and Matthew Lillard. Also win some money, I guess, and get featured in a magazine, but I think it'd be, like, super beneficial to promote the podcast if I win, you know what I'm saying? So, I will put the link there if you feel like, voting for me, cool. If you don't, that's fine too. Also, on Amazon, check out Rizzo and Weird Son. My book, very short read, um, The Adventures of Rizzo and Weird Son Monster Hunters. It is out there. If you do get it, please leave a rating and a review. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, check out my buddy Doc Brown's book, The Epic of Esau. It is written really well, and I think he did a really good job. So I highly recommend that as a read. I'm reading it for the second time. He said that he had typos, and I don't really recall there being any typos. So I'm reading it back through to see if I'm just retarded and I missed shit. um, Other than that, I think that's all I gotta say. So be good or be good at it, everybody. Where the weird ones go production.
Can you hear background noise or not?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't hear anything. I can hear stuff right now while you're moving, but
My door. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
oh man. But no, you sound fantastic. You
Okay,
sound
good.
crystal clear to me. But anyway, so welcome everybody to another episode. So happy to have you here. Today I have a fantastic guest. Got the chance to meet him down at Gatlinburg Smoky Mountain Bigfoot conference in person for the first time. At first, when you were like, "Oh, we have a meeting where we have a podcast to do in August," I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Who the
For
fuck
like
is
a real quick second, and then I was like, and like hearing your voice, I was like, "Oh, I know who this is." Because I didn't look at your table yet. I was busy. I was busy looking talking to Doc, but yeah, man, it was dope. I meant to get a picture with you and Doc before I left, and we had the kids wanted to do so many things. We were doing moonshine tasting. We did that skywalk thing there and stuff like that. We were in and out, but anyways, it was pretty dope to get the chance to meet you in person. But for everybody who doesn't know who you are, if you don't mind giving the rundown of your podcast and stuff like that. And
Yeah, man.
I find it really hard to believe anybody that doesn't know your podcast because it's huge right now. So, and it's doing really well, and you do a really good job. So
I appreciate it. And it was awesome to meet you guys too. It was just really cool because it's the first time that I've got to meet so many people in person. And you coming all the way from Maine, I was like, what are you doing, man? It's Tennessee. So that was cool because I looked over, same kind of thing. And you're talking to Doc, and I'm like, oh my God, why do I know him? But why do I know him? Right. So
yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. So I am Bennett Tanton. I am the host of the Broadcasting Seeds podcast, which you can just type that in and it'll pop up anywhere. My website's broadcastingseeds.com. I just send people there because it's the easiest spot because I've got all the links. Because everyone has their preference on how they listen or watch podcasts, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this and the Broadcasting Seeds has only been it's about a year old, a little bit longer. But I've been podcasting since 2014.
Wow.
So, I just had some other podcasts before that. Had a podcast network for a while. Which, you know, it's all evolving. So we decided not to do that anymore, but I mean, it's in my blood. I can't get away from it. And frankly, it's addictive. So I just love podcasting. And so this is my current iteration in podcasting. So yeah, man.
So, quick question, judging by the flag behind you, were you a Marine?
I was. Well, I am.
You are, yes, true, because you never stopped being a Marine.
Right. So I was in the Marine Corps. I also, after that, I got out for a little while, and was a police officer for a bit, doing some other just stuff. Getting out, transitioning, being a civilian, and it didn't take. I just did not do well. So then I went into the Army. So I tried them all, man. Not them all, but so I did the Army for a while too. I was in the Marines for 4 years and then the Army for 6. So yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, man. My pleasure.
I wanted to be in the military when I was growing up, but I did the ASVAB and everything, and then they denied me because I had a criminal record. So
it happens.
Which it wasn't like the criminal record was it was just street fights, you know.
Yeah.
Which we were all like, me and my family, we were all like, they're not gonna say anything, but I guess it's more like we don't want to put somebody that's freaking gonna snap on people while they're in the barracks or something like that.
What year was that? Like around what time?
It was like 08, 07.
Yeah.
I was cage fighting at the time, and then my son was my ex-wife was became pregnant with my son late 07, early 08, and then he was born in November, and then I was like, I gotta stop cage fighting and stuff. But that whole year I was trying to join the Army, and that's when they were like, no.
It's unfortunate too, but they go through waves in recruiting. So if you had tried to go in like 2 years prior to that, they would have taken you for anything.
Mhm.
So it just depends on where they're at in recruitment, and it's unfortunate because you probably would have done a great job.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
thought so. I
So,
thought so.
I mean, it's one of those things, like, usually those guys like, well, because frankly, I was the same way when I was younger. Guys like you and I, it can go either way.
Yeah.
Meaning you can be a really good criminal, or you can be a really good soldier, cop, whatever. And it's the same mindset. I wouldn't say it's the same mindset, but it's the same. Yeah, I guess it would be the mindset, right? It's the tenacity that there's certain things that you just, when you commit to something, you get after it. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but
Yeah, my grandfather was like, when he found out, he's like, "That's weird. I served in the military with a guy that attempted murder."
right, exactly.
And that
so,
was a part of his court proceeding, was that freaking he
yeah,
was either going to go to jail or he's going to join the Navy.
yep, and that it's just the way it is, man. They have sometimes when, or like you could walk across the hall, like it just depends. Like you're trying to go into the Air Force or something, and then they'll be like, nah, we pass. And then you walk right across the hall and the Navy will be like, yep, come on.
Yep.
So
Yep. It's interesting.
it
But
is interesting.
anyway, so my first question for you today is, what made you start the Broadcasting Seeds podcast? I know you just stated that you have always done podcasts since 2014,
Right.
which is crazy because I didn't learn of podcasts really until like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
And I always thought podcasts were stupid. I was like, who wants to sit here and listen to random people fucking have a conversation?
That's really funny.
And then 2022, I'm like, I'm gonna start a podcast.
Right. I got it. So Broadcasting Seeds is, so I was really, back in 2014, basically it was what the gateway to podcasting for me was I was part of this program, and I'm not going to draw it out, but it's just a quick story. We were literally me and a couple buddies of mine, we were all veterans. We were part of this program at Syracuse University called the Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans. Okay. And at that time, it was the veterans with disabilities, and we were all like, "Okay, I guess we're disabled or whatever." It was like a big joke. But anyway, we had gone through this program, and it was fun, and you just meet really cool people, other veterans, and we had a whole bunch of us that were, few that were Marines. And when Marines meet each other, usually they just gel and get in a little click. But whatever. So we were at down in Atlanta at the national conference for this entrepreneurship boot camp, because it's at like 7 or 8 universities across the country. It's all under one central hub, but they've got programs at different universities. So they bring all those together every year at a big conference. So we were all there, and there's 3 or 4 of us hanging out. And we were at a hotel right outside Centennial Park, which is where the 1996, I think it was 96, Atlanta Olympics, that was like the main hub of the Atlanta Olympics. And it's in downtown Atlanta. There's a big Ferris wheel there, and it's just a cool kind of place. And we were staying at the hotel right across the street. Well, there's the park that's there. We had decided to smoke cigars, and to have some cigars and just BS, but they wouldn't let us smoke like outside the hotel. So we're like, okay, well, we'll just go over to the park. So we're literally, and we were all probably drunk at the time too. But shocker, right? And we're literally laying in the grass, looking up at the stars, smoking these cigars. And one of the guys goes, "Man, we should start a podcast." And one of the guys was even like, what the hell's a podcast? And then I go, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea to kind of talk about veteran entrepreneurship. But we were making it Marine Corps centered. And it just literally popped into my head. The name was Cigars and Sea Stories. And that lasted a long time. So that's what got me into podcasting. And then I had some other stuff beyond that, but Broadcasting Seeds really was birthed because I've had some experiences. I've always been fascinated with high strangeness, right? And that's what I'll call it. Going back to my first experience as a kid, where it was a dark and stormy night. And I was a scared kid.
Perfect setup.
Right. I was a scared kid at 7 or 8 years old. My dad traveled a lot, and my mom and I were home in this. I grew up in, till I was 10, in this old, and at that time it was 100 and something years old, the house. And this is in 1980. No, God. Yeah, it's like 81, 82. Just aged myself, didn't I? So there you
did.
81, 82. And I was like 7 or 8. I was born in 74. So yeah, I guess that's right. Ish. Yeah. So, old farmhouse that even then it's like one of those houses, because the neighborhood kind of grew up around this house. It was an old farmhouse. In this little tiny farming community in Illinois called Princeton. That's where I grew up. Well, I say grew up, but till 10. And we had that house, and I just drove by that house last year again, and it looks exactly the same. It's kind of eerie. I mean, there's some updates here and there, but it was 100 and something years old back then. So I ran into my mom's thunder, lightning, and Midwest thunderstorms are no joke. And it was one of those nights when it's like a Rip Van Winkle story with like the bowling in heaven kind of thing, or the bowling and it was literally like someone was rolling a bowling ball right over your head and then crashing into pins. It was bad. I ran into my mom's room. I laid down. And you get in bed with your parents and you're all cozy, right? Another crash of lightning real bad later in that night, and I have no idea what time it was, but it was literally it's like so cliche, but it happened this way. I wake up and I see 3 figures standing at the end of the bed.
Oh shit.
Like perfect silhouettes. And it was, I would say, if I had to guess now, hindsight 2020, I would guess that they were kids because they weren't that tall, right? Mm-hmm. But there was 2 taller than another one. It was like, the shortest was in the middle, right? And I could tell that the tallest was a girl. Like, this is just me, the snapshot that's in my mind. But I couldn't see features. I couldn't see anything else. There was no movement. There was nothing, but I screamed, and so did my mother. So we've talked about this for years since then. She saw the same thing. So I knew I wasn't crazy or just a little kid being scared. So she saw the same thing. And I literally, put the covers over my head. And it felt like an eternity, but it was probably only, 15, 20 seconds, but it felt like 15, 20 minutes. And then I pulled the covers down real slow, and they were gone. And in that house, I had other experiences where I saw never like apparitions, but I'd see stuff out of the corner of my eye all the time. Like walking by and one of the things was always like, I would say it's like an animal, like a dog or something, because it was real low to the ground. Now I know better. You never know. It could be anything scurrying around on the ground. Right. But I never had like a malicious, like weird feeling in that house or anything like that. But stuff was definitely going on there. And I'd love to talk to the people that live there now and see if now that I know more, right?
Right.
So that was my first entry into this world of high strangeness, was of a paranormal type thing. And so I've always been intrigued, just like a lot of us that are in this, with mythology, just folklore stories all the time. And then the other thing is my dad was a shortwave radio guy, right? He had a shortwave radio that he would listen to all the time, and he would get these crazy transmissions from like Japan and all this stuff. But with that being said, one of the things that would happen is he would stay up really late, and you would hear Coast to Coast AM. And back then it was Art Bell, right? And it's crazy that broadcast is still around.
Yeah. My dad, when he found out about my podcast, he was telling me about this radio station that I should listen to, that they talk about all the same things and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't know at the time, I didn't know Coast to Coast. And then I remember hearing it occasionally throughout my childhood. And I never put two and two together. And then I think another podcaster was asking me if I knew who Art Bell was. I was like, I have no idea. And then they were telling me about it, and that he's long past. But there's a lot of things that this community talks about, the paranormal community, that talks about, that were born from him, like from his interviews, like the Mel's Hole thing. That was all him.
Wild. I love that story though.
Me too. And yeah, so my dad was like, he's like, you should listen to this. And I tried it it's a great radio show still. And I don't know who is hosting it now, but it's still good.
Yeah, and I love that they put it on YouTube now. So you can watch or listen to it on YouTube as well. It's wild.
Yeah.
So that was like and then later on in life, like when I would be up really late, because it was on like, a million radio stations syndicated, right? So I just remember even as late as, I don't really listen to it much anymore on the radio, right? I'm not up at that point. But when I told you earlier that when I was doing like security work, I had to go into work really early, or I had to stay up really late. So I'd have this thing where I was working shifts from either 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I would listen to it every day, or on my way to work early, right? So because I think it ran at the local station in Syracuse, it was on from like 2 a.m. to like 6 a.m. And just love it. Great show. If you haven't ever listened to it, it's a little out of fashion at this point, but it's not. It's so relevant still. And they're the OGs. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that first experience you had is, first of all, is frightening. But it, like, since you said it was like 100-year-old farmhouse, I wonder if it were old owners or children that lived there at one point, maybe. But I know, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm experiencing poltergeist, or I'm experiencing ghosts, and this house is like brand new. And it lends credence that, hauntings can happen anywhere, no matter how old
absolutely
a building is. So the land also could be. So I that would be pretty interesting if you're ever able to talk to the owners now.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of those things too, is I've written it down multiple times, and for some reason it just doesn't ever click when I'm doing research to like research that house like back in the day. And the only thing I know is that it was like the farm that was there, that was the house, right? And now there's like the high school there, but see, the high school's been there since forever too. So it's like, Yeah, it's wild, but there's just a lot of history there. You know, going back to early 18s, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole East Coast, most of it has a whole lot of history. I mean, not as much as obviously what England or anything, any
right,
European
but
or all that, because that's where everybody came from. But like
right,
the weird things, like I just watched The Witch last night, and it's based on like the folklore of witches back in like Massachusetts and shit. So it's I think that whole everything that was happening when the settlers were settling and stuff like that is really interesting, and it lends some of the stupid shit that they did just, I think, corrupted some of the land around here for sure.
absolutely. Doesn't. I mean, I once we left Illinois, my whole family came over early and settled in New England, right?
Yep.
And we did move from because we still had family that lived in Connecticut, so we moved from Illinois to Connecticut. And that's where I'd say, you know, from age 13 to 18, that's where I lived. And you say grow up, but what does that even mean, right? I'd say that was my formidable years of growing up was down in Connecticut.
Yeah, I would say growing up would be like the all the things that you remember the most.
Right, correct. So it was definitely being Connecticut, and the history is just insane in New England in comparison to a lot of places. So
yeah,
going back to 16s, it's just wild. I mean, my family's one of those families that came over. We can trace it back to the Mayflower, literally. We are what do they call that? There's the Mayflower Society or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have family up in Maine too, that settled in Massachusetts and then moved up to Maine. Porter, Maine, which is out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep, it
is where a bunch of them, well, their last name was Porter.
Figure.
Yeah. Was the town named after them? I have no idea. But maybe somebody, right? And I used to grow up growing up. We used to go to God, is it Moose Lake? It's called.
There is a Moose Lake.
Yeah,
I believe it's in the area of Porter, and then there's Lobster Lake a little bit above there.
So it was Moose Lake. Went there a few times as a kid. It was like heaven, man. As a kid, it was amazing. But spent a lot of time. I was a Boy Scout, so I spent a lot of time in the woods, man. In both Illinois and Connecticut, and so that's a whole nother piece that just led me to this broadcasting seed stuff. Is I had an experience with Bigfoot as a kid. Years later, is like 11 years old.
Yeah,
and I mean, really close. And terrifying.
Was this during a Boy Scout trip?
Yes. We, me and two other boys, were late to dinner, and we were running through, and we would take this. We called it a shortcut, but it's not a shortcut. There's these hedgerows. There was a hedgerow between this field that we would run across to get to the cabins on the other side. And there's this big hedgerow, like picture a World War II French hedgerow. It's what they used to use to separate their fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but as a kid, you could crawl underneath it, right? Well, that's what we would do because we're lazy boys. I mean, we were lazy, but yet we was just like, why am I going to run around and spend more time running when I could just crawl under? Right?
Yeah, right.
So this is what we did all the time. Well, we were running because we were late. Sun was going down and we were running westerly. So the sun was setting. there was this little drainage ditch before the hedgerow. We had to jump across. And between the ditch and the row, it was probably 12 feet, 10, 12 feet. And as soon as I jumped the water that was running through there, the bushes in front of me exploded. This is the best way to describe it. It exploded. And I just felt and heard this god-awful, it was like a roar. And when I looked up at the hedgerow, because the hedgerow is like 10 feet tall, and something had reached through and opened up the hedges and was looking down at us, and you could see the shoulders and the head. Couldn't really make out features or anything, but you could see the outline of what I say now is a Sasquatch. What else would it be?
Right.
And the other two boys with me, one of them, I mean, blood curdling scream. I look back now and it was like as if, he was getting murdered. And they took off to the right to go around the hedgerow. And I was like frozen for like another second. And like, unbelievable. It just massive. So it's probably 8 feet tall, maybe 9, really tall. And just massive shoulders. And you could feel just that presence. And it was ridiculous. Terrifying. But then what's freaky about this is I look back now, and so I ran, I followed the boys. We went back, we told the scout leaders, and they were all like, yeah, right. Basically. But the one kid was so scared that he couldn't stay out anymore. They had to call his parents. Like, he was at a point where like he couldn't really even talk. And I was like, see this, people like this don't react to things like this. And I'm telling you, this is what happened. And then the other kid and I, we talked about it one other time. But here's the crazy part. Like, we went back out to the woods and slept that night. Like, what? So, I don't know. It makes you, this is one of those things in my brain that makes me go like, it's like the seed was planted, but then it was like made murky or something. It's a theory I've just been working through, is like, why do some people, react adversely and other people just kind of like, okay. A seriously traumatic experience. Like, I look back now and I go, it actually gives me, every time I think about it, I get goosebumps. Like the hair, you can't really see it, but the hair on my arms is standing straight up. But back then it was kind of like, I don't know. Maybe it was just justification. It's compartmentalizing, I think, things in your brain. But,
yeah, it's interesting, the mental gymnastics that a child's brain would do. When I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, we were living with my grandparents, and I was seeing shadow figures all the time in their basement. But my brother's bedroom was down in the basement, right? And that was where the N64 was. So, like, that was important. Like, video games were important to me. So, like, I spent a whole lot of time outside in the woods and shit, but I always had, like, an hour at the end of every day, after, showering and eating dinner and stuff, that I could play video games. I'd go down there, see a shadow figure, and then go into my brother's room and play video games for an hour, without a care that there was just a shadow figure outside of his bedroom. But, yeah, I just think that, probably you were just, number one, you were also excited to be out there doing your thing too. So.
And so I went camping there. I never had another incident there.
Mm-hmm.
Another experience at all. But and again, I've been trying to research this. So I'm going to say it on your podcast too, because I haven't gotten anything from anybody. But so this happened at a place in McLean County, Illinois, at a camp. At the time, it was called Camp Heffernan. And there's, like I told you, there's a parade field, like a field beyond this row of trees. There was a field, and I remember. And so this other kid that I had the experience with, one, I never talked to him again. The other one, though, he died when he was like 15 or 16. So I've never been able to talk through some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, it's a very vivid memory of this. There was like a tree in the middle, maybe not right in the middle of that, but in the clearing. And you know, things are warped when you're young as being a lot bigger than they actually are, right? But this was a huge field in my childhood mind. I've looked at it on satellite now, and it's not huge, but it's what you would call like a parade field. And it's mowed grass and whatnot. But I'm telling you, at the time that I used to go there, there was a stump of a tree that was cut out like a chair, right? And it was about the chair part. Like, we wouldn't get into it because it was a pain in the ass to sit up there. Plus, and who knows, maybe it was like a legend that was fabricated to keep us from screwing around with the stump. I don't know. But I was always told, and I feel like, I've said this on other podcasts, I feel like there was a plaque, like maybe not a plaque, but some sort of thing with written words on it that said, this is that they basically used to give offerings. The natives used to give offerings to whatever the Sasquatch type creature was in their, in their folklore, right? And that they would basically sacrifice or give gifts of young girls or young women to this entity or whatever. And this is where they did it. Could be complete nonsense and BS, but this is how I also maybe piece together that this is a Sasquatch, because it was like a Sasquatch type creature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's that. It's murky. It's very murky, because I was 11. That was, 40 plus years. That was 41 years ago, 40 years ago, something, whatever. Long freaking time ago. So things are clear, but yet murky at the same time. And I've been trying to do research on the area, and it's just, I'm coming up short. I mean,
Yeah.
the campground still exists, but it's under a different name. And it's not a Boy Scout thing anymore. It's like I think it's owned by Easter Seals, but either way. Yeah. And there's no old pictures. There's old pictures of the campground, but I can't find any pictures of the parade deck area to see if that stump is actually there, or is it a figment of my imagination? So
it's funny, the things that we remember and the way that we remember it through our childhood. And like, other people don't remember it the same. Like, my sister and I had a lot of paranormal experiences together, and we remember each of them differently.
yeah.
Because they affected us differently. And some of them she doesn't remember, and some of them I don't remember. But she'll be like, "You remember this time?" And I'm like, "No, no, no. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about." But with your experience, did you feel like that insatiable feeling of dread to where you were like, I got to get out of here? Like, because I mean, you said it was terrifying, and
Yeah.
you ran
Yes.
away, but like, do you like, looking back on it, do you think that like possible infrasound at all was like on you, like to be like, get the fuck out of here, kid?
Yeah, I don't know about infrasound, but I definitely know there was dread, but it was also like that fight, flight, freeze kind of reaction.
Yep.
And I was definitely frozen for again, seems like an eternity, but it was probably like 2 seconds, right? But with that roar, you could feel it as much as you could hear it. It was just insane. It was intense. The other thing is with that encounter, there was also a smell.
Yeah.
But I've had other encounters where there was no smell, but that was a bad smell. Very, like, wet dog mixed with like decomp. Just not good. I think that kind of thing, because I had another experience in Alaska that was almost identical to this one, and also smell involved, right? But then I've had an incident here in New York where there was zero smell. The difference in these encounters, though, is that I think the first two, the one in Illinois and the one in Alaska, I think the Bigfoot was as shocked by us as we were of it. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Like we almost happened upon it and it was just like, and I think that smell could be like the way that a skunk sprays
like a defense.
Like a defense mechanism, possibly. It's a theory, right?
Right.
So, because the other incident that I've had, it was totally in control of the situation. Right. But it was not at those other spots. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into both of those experiences. If you want, well, let's start with the Alaska one.
Well, the Alaska one, literally, it's almost an identical situation, except for I was in the military, and I'm just not going to go into it that deep because it's, and the way that it's exactly the same thing, but I can't really talk about, and it's not because it's top secret or whatever, but friends of mine, folks that I have been with that are like, just don't talk about that stuff. So I'm going to, I can't think of the words. Go by their wishes and not really talk. But otherwise, it was almost identical. It's just imagine transplant me to Alaska, right?
And you just happen upon a bush and it's like, hey, get the fuck out of here.
Wait, I'm a giant freaking scary creature and I'm here. And that's literally how it was. Same smell, same type of roar. But this one the creature was even bigger, which is even more even more terrifying. And yeah, so that was wild too, but it's almost identical except for the setting, right?
Right.
And the fact that I didn't pull the trigger, even being that scared. So I don't know what that is either. And yeah. But, it was right there. I could have just pulled. I had a loaded weapon, you know what I mean? And I didn't pull the trigger. So I don't know what that means either.
There's a lot of experiences with people with guns.
So many.
Yeah.
So it kind of tells you, I don't know, maybe it's in your head.
Maybe. Like, because I believe in every theory about Bigfoot, like
exactly
flesh and blood,
can't discount
paranormal.
Anything.
Yeah, exactly. So
because we don't know shit.
No, we don't. We have no idea. So the only question I'll ask you then about that experience, was it night or day?
Day. Well, same time, like dusk.
Like dusk. Okay.
Sun's going down. We were literally walking. And literally, you could see the head and shoulders.
Damn, son. All right,
and I'm talking within 20 feet, so it's there. Like you could, it was, and it's just. I look back now and I'm like, Jesus! Like 2 incidents that are almost identical, just that are about 8 years apart. So. Yeah, it's wild. Then the next really like, so this is a little, it's not complex, but it's later. This was actually So I had other incidents, and I say incidents, encounters, like on Bigfoot expeditions and stuff like that, but never visual. They were always audio, of whoops and knocks, duh, but also of a roar very similar, but way higher pitched, like almost from a female or juvenile, but very similar. Like, and this happened something like 50, I'd say about 20 yards up on a ridge down at us. And we could all feel it too. And there was like 4 or 5 of us there. And earlier in that night, I didn't hear it, but people that were like, you've been on a Bigfoot expedition before, right? And you have people at base camp and you have people that go out, right? Well, the people that were at base camp in the same area that we heard the roar scream from had heard samurai chatter coming from that spot earlier in the evening. And I had, so I've had I call it a near-death experience because I can't explain it any other way. When I was younger, I was 19, and I drowned. And I was out and I woke up getting, basically people pushing on my stomach and chest and basically CPR, for it to clear. But I don't have like I met Jesus and, had a conversation, NDE, right? But ever since then, I have been able to see, the best way to describe it is auras, people's auras.
The colors around them.
Yes.
Essentially. For people who don't know what an aura is.
Yeah. Essentially the colors around people. I can see in person. It can't be through, and I have to take my glasses off. It can't be like through the, I can't see your aura right now. But even if I go out in the woods, like this has become sort of like a superpower, I guess, as I can call it, because now I'm not saying I see like Daredevil, if anyone knows what that is. I don't see like the sound. It's not like Daredevil where like I could like things light up, I don't see that way. But if I know like a deer, for example, deers have auras. And if I know there's a deer there, even at night, I can see the aura. It's like a murky outline, right? Now, this kind of leads into my third, like, actual, and I say sighting, but I didn't see anything. And this is what it freaks me out. Ever since this incident, it's freaked me out. And I haven't really gone out and done research since then. So we have this, my buddy and I have he's got property here in what's called the Tug Hill, up here in, upstate New York. And it's like the foothills of the Adirondacks.
Okay.
And it's wild, man. There's not a lot up here. It's all farms. It's all hunting land, state land. There's state parks all over it, but it's this whole mishmash of just different ownership, but it's all wild for the most part. Little houses here and there, these little towns, little hamlets, little villages dispersed within here. But it's kind of turned into a little bit of a hotbed for sightings in the last few years of Bigfoot. So his property, after I'd had some incidents were on these expeditions down in the Allegheny National Forest with folks, I was like, Jesus, man, this, like, it had totally rekindled everything. And this was like 3 years ago. And it doesn't seem like it was 3 years ago, but it was 3 years ago. And then I've really like dove headfirst into Sasquatch research. And so once I got back from this one, expedition, I called him and I was like, have you ever had because I had looked at the BFRO website, whether you like BFRO or whatever, their website and their sightings pages, it's an invaluable piece of an invaluable tool to researchers, right?
Mm.
And there had been a sighting literally like less than a mile from his house. And I was like, I'm calling him. So I called him, and he's like, well, it's funny that you should say that. He had him and his wife and his dogs had just had a experience where I think they were bluff charged by a Bigfoot in their backyard.
Oh shit.
Some things, they had a bonfire at night, so of course my buddy, he's a Marine as well. His night vision was shit because of the roaring fire, but something came up to the fence of his thing and was it was literally, it was like, he'll explain it as it was a freight train going through the woods because trees were getting knocked down.
Whoa, dude.
He's freaking out. He has two Great Pyrenees, which are not small dogs.
No.
They're like guard dogs, right? Like that's how he's trained them. At the very least, they're early warning systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
These dogs are standing by the back door with their tail between their legs. They're both 150-pound dogs. His wife, again, I'm getting chills thinking about it, but his wife is also freaked out. And it just, whatever it was, stopped. Now he had an AR-15 out there with him too. And he's like, I brought the rifle up, and he's like, I was so close to pulling the trigger, and he didn't. So anyway, he tells me this, and I'm like, oh man, we hit the jackpot, right? So I went out there, and we walked out. He has this little campsite that he's built out there, which now is like a fenced off area, and we haven't really gone out there. We actually went out there yesterday to set up trail cams because we also hunt, right? Mm-hmm. And I haven't been able to walk very well lately, and yesterday felt pretty good because I had got a good night's sleep for the first time in a while. And so we went out and set up some trail cams yesterday, but rewind about 2.5 years, we walked out to this campsite, which at the time was just like a fire pit and some the plastic tables and chairs and stuff. And it was basically him because he has built a range out there as well. But there's this area, he has his property split by a trout creek, like a trout stream. Again, water, active with fish, trout stream that runs through it. And he has this bridge that goes over, and it's a decent sized bridge that goes over the stream. Well, when he bought the property years ago, he had consistently gone across the bridge to the other side to just check stuff out. I mean, we're talking about a 60-acre tract on the other side of the stream. Plus, there's nothing there until you keep walking forever, it feels like. And then you come to another country road, and then beyond that, it's still just woods. I mean, it's so wild. But he would always get this really weird feeling, like almost like dread, as though something's watching him when he would cross the stream. Well, the last time that he went over, he had found this weird, like almost like a campsite, right? But it was very primitive. It wasn't like teenage kids set it up and like had beers and chips and just left the trash. It was like this little tiny fire area, and there was rocks set up where like something could sit down. And he found that like in this remote part of his property, and it was like in a little clearing, almost like it was artificially made. But anyway, that was the last time he had been across the bridge. And the next time he came down to go, the bridge had been torn down. And
Damn.
I'm telling you, I've got pictures of it. He had just like reinforced the bridge before. And then when he went out this time, it literally, he's got like, 5-inch freaking timbers just broken in half. So we call it Broken Bridge Research Area. But so I think that whatever it is tore the bridge down. And now it's really hard to get across. You can get across, but we haven't really done it much. But first time I ever went out, I actually, because I was still in that mode of like, juvenile Sasquatch research, or not that I've been doing it a long time, but I've been a very steep learning curve, because I do a lot of reading and research and stuff like that. And then had an experience or two that really just gave me the willies. And the first time that we were out there, I did a couple whoops, and we had audible return calls from across the stream.
Oh shit.
In the middle of the day. And I looked at him, he looked at me, he was like, what the fuck? And then I did a knock or two and had returned knocks as well. I mean, clear as day. Like, why are we not recording this? But
damn, son, that sounds like an active area.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then, so with this being said, he's had a couple times when he stayed out there that something was messing with his tent at night. And he, he doesn't have like a big long story with that, but something was messing with his tent. Like him and him and another buddy would be staying out there because they were either hunting or just having a campfire, because we have a fire pit. So we decided to surround it with fence, and we had this one narrow opening. So I was like, okay, my military mind kicked in, and I'm like, okay, this is an active place, right? We also found like these weird drag marks where it looked like it had looked like something had gotten to a scuffle in the woods, where it would imagine like you and someone else wrestling in the woods. And there's like scuff marks and like spots where it looks like your feet had been like dug in, but like it pushes up the like the leaves on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there was something had happened. So we were like, what the hell is going on? And this is at a spot that goes down to the stream. So we were like, okay. And by this time I had realized that these things are too smart, whatever they are, they're too smart to get caught on camera for the most part. And usually if things that do get caught on camera could either be considered juveniles or something, right? Like smaller. Either way, I was like, okay, I just got the shiny new thermal camera, which was really cool. I had already done an expedition with it, and I was like, man, this thing is awesome. We had seen like deer in the woods and stuff like that. And so I was like, I'm going to set up, like he was supposed to come out with me, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay out here by myself. Biggest mistake ever. So I was out at this campsite, and I'm like, I'm going to set up a camera trap using my, like the knowledge. Basically, I was going to set up cameras in every single spot that it covered. You had overlapping fields of fire in every single spot around this campsite except for one. And that was the spot that it's hard to explain, but there's a trail that comes up from the creek and it opens up into the clearing where we've got the campsite. And it's the shortest distance from that trail to the fence line that we've got set up is right there. And that was the spot that I had open. And I had a spot about 10 feet wide. I was just looking at it yesterday, between this tree and this tree. And there's an open gap of fence. And the tent that I had at the time, set up there, I had the window so I could see that whole 10-foot spot. And I had the zipper open, and I was going to catch this thing on thermal, right, coming up to the fence, because it avoids areas where the cameras are. So it's like, can you see the camera? Like, I don't understand, but that's beyond me.
Yeah.
But I also use cameras as deterrents when I sleep. I set up trail cams around wherever I'm sleeping now. And I've never had an incident since then of anything knocking or rocking my tent or anything. But I was going to catch this thing on thermal, right? Shiny new thermal. I even had backup, so it plugs into my cell phone. And I had 2 cell phones fully charged, ready to go, thermal plugged into my main phone. And it's like, finally I was like dozing in and out, but I woke up and I heard something, and it was absolutely unequivocally bipedal, something heavy, walking up this ramp, is what I'll call it, in the trail, and then coming to the fence. And it's like almost imperceivable, but I could feel like it put its hands on the fence, almost like you could hear that happen because the whole fence kind of flexed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's about 10, 12 feet away. I'm like, holy shit. I'm freaking out, right? And I bring my camera up, and it's fired up and everything. Bring it up. The thing goes dead. So I did what I would call magazine change, in the military or in police work or security work that I've done. And I literally ripped the thermal out, grabbed the other phone that was already on, right? And I remember grabbing it, clicking the home button to make sure that it was on, inserting the thermal. You hear the thermal, you see it pop up, because it does it really quick. Maybe 2 to 3 seconds. I brought it up again, fucking dead. Unbelievable. So then I realized in my heart, now here's the other thing. Everything sinks in of what the hell I've done. And that sense of dread just wave over me. Just a wave of dread. Like, I'm out here alone. Yeah, I'm armed, but it doesn't matter. And I'm just terrified at that moment. Like, oh, fuck. I literally have this little flimsy fence and a tent in between me and this thing. And I'm looking out. It's dark it's dark out there. But like I told you, if I know something's there, I'm talking about a narrow window. If I know something's there and it hasn't, I can see its aura. This thing doesn't have an aura.
Shit.
Which then makes my stomach drop. Because I'm like, oh shit, what is this thing then? Because every other natural thing I've ever seen in the woods, if I concentrate on it, it's got an aura. Chipmunks even. This thing didn't have an aura, man. It does not. And that freaking freaked me right out. So I don't know where to go with that. All I know is I had my gun out, and I was just like, oh shit, like waiting and waiting and waiting. It felt like an eternity. And I can't tell you if it went, I can't tell you exactly when it went away, or who the hell even knows. But it was a terrifying experience with some crazy stuff that went down. And these phones weren't just like, oh, they turned back on later. No, they were completely sapped of all battery power. Like I had to plug them in to get them to start back up.
Jeez. The fact that it didn't have an aura, that you couldn't see it, it makes me feel like maybe it doesn't have a soul.
Yes. And that's where I go, because you know, people, everybody, you know, this is very contentious territory that we're in right now with folks.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I've had people look me square in the face, like researchers look me square in the face and go, "You are full of shit." And I can be like, bro, I don't get mad at them. I just know, like, are you really that close-minded that it could be something other than flesh and bone? And then you have to kind of look at what they do and where they're from and what the things, like, that's a direct assault. Like this person that him and I had or he basically told me I was full of shit. This is how he makes his living.
Right.
And like, if it's not flesh and bone or flesh and blood, whatever the hell you want to call it, then he is out some money. He's out credibility too. It's not even that he's out credibility. He's just, in his mind, he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because he's been saying, nope, flesh and bone, flesh and bone, flesh and bone, flesh and bone for, you know, the better part of 20 years. And this is a direct assault on his livelihood. So I understand. But this is what happened. The other thing that I can tell you is I had another situation in the Allegheny National Forest. I wake up really early, man. Like, and when I'm out, I guess what you would call as a fourth watch waker. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
I do.
I wake up every morning, usually between 3 and 5:30, right? Almost every day. Sometimes it's a good wake up. Sometimes it's a, holy Christ, I just had the worst nightmare wake up. But there's definitely spiritual warfare stuff going on in my life, and there has been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, even when I'm out, especially when I'm out in the woods, I'll wake up at 3 to 4, right? And some mornings I have a rooftop tent now, which if people don't have one, man, it's way better than a regular tent. It's freaking amazing. But you know, sometimes I'll get out and fire up the campfire, and I'll sit there for 2 to 3 hours, make coffee and whatnot, and I'll sit there for 2 to 3 hours and just watch the campsite, watch the surrounding areas. And one morning in Allegheny, I definitely heard something walking through the woods over in that, and it's actually the same area where we heard where the people have heard the samurai chatter. I have it on video, on thermal. My buddy getting bluff charged, in that same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Cause it's a avenue. There's game trails and trails from out in the woods to our campsite. It's a perfect overwatch spot. But I have him like, holy shit, like you can see him, he was making calls and then he ran away. So there was nothing, like no Sasquatch on video, but he got bluff charged by something, in the woods. And I've never seen him react the way. He's been a researcher for 30 years and he was scared out of his mind. But it was that same area. So I call it, that's why I say when we're in that campsite, by the second or third day that we're there, every time we have what you would call watchers. And they'll sit in that one area. And I know for a fact, I could feel it, that there was something in that spot this one morning. And again, the reason I know this is because I watched deer. So over to the right of this, there's a road. And I say a road, but it's a road. And this is where the road stops, is this campsite. And this is a fire road, or in rural Pennsylvania, it's dirt. But this is where that road ends, literally, out in the middle of the Allegheny National Forest, so far away from people. And earlier I had seen deer pop out on that road, and I could see them and I could see their auras, and they walked right by that spot. So I heard something. I also saw a couple trees movement, almost like a smaller tree where something had like grabbed onto the tree and it wavered back and forth. And I could just feel like I was being watched. I'm the only one up sitting there. And a lot of times people have incidents or whatever you want to call them early in the morning like that, like just as the sun's coming up, right? And that's when this was. And literally, I could not see an aura, but I know I have everything, and I would bet that there's something there watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where the hell I was going with the story, but either way, these I keep having these types of incidents now, or these types of encounters, and they got me freaked out a little bit.
It sounds fucking freaky, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've been on one hunt or one research expedition, and I never there's a bunch of us together, and I'm hearing screams in front of us, and I'm hearing screams behind us. They're almost whoopee, but they're not quite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is almost like they were communicating.
Yeah.
In a way, like you were saying, it was more of like a roar than it was whoop or whatever. But that was probably the only time that I got a little freaked out, and I stood up, I pulled my gun out and everything. I was like, I don't want something coming through these bushes at us. And so yeah, that was probably freaky. My buddy Riley had more of an experience where he got so terrified that he needed to leave the woods. But
down in Tennessee, yeah. I know that Operation Smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy story, right? That's awesome. Well, not just him, but everybody that was there.
Yeah. So like for that, and for what I was hearing, everything that I've experienced, everything that you're saying is terrifying. Like I hate those feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. And I'm actually okay with it. It's just like, but I got kids, and I mean, like, I don't want to die in the woods. I don't want to be a 411. I don't want to be a David Pallades, missing 411 story. So I've kind of really backed off, and I've taken a lot of advice from Scott Carpenter and his encounters and his knowledge that he's got. I've read all his books. I've watched probably every YouTube video he ever put out. I have talked to his son now a few times, and it's one of those things, like, I feel like I crossed a boundary line, and I needed to back off, right? Because something's telling me, not just physically, but in my soul, you've gone a little too far. You're a little too close, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that I actually kind of heed that is shocking, because I'm that guy that doesn't. I push the boundaries. I push the boundaries all the time. I always have.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. I don't feel like pushing this one.
I feel
it's one of those things now, like, that's not going to stop me from going out in the woods. But I'm telling you, in my mind, I'm not actively looking for these things anymore. I'll go out and I'll be the base camp dude. You know what I mean? I'll sit by the fact that my health has kind of declined a little bit. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. I don't know, but it's got me really thinking, and really I've become way more I'll just say Christian. I definitely have upped the spiritual warfare game, and like my prayers and all this stuff, and I've seen fruit from that, I feel like, in my life also. I mean, I've had another experience with I guess you would call it a succubus type entity, where I say Lilith, but I don't know if it's, I can't be like, yeah, I was Lilith. But I definitely had some oppression going on, right?
Yeah. How
and
long was that happening?
For years. And then I finally, it like around the same type of time that I got into this stuff,
Yep.
it like ramped up. And I had a whole fucking spiritual battle with this thing on over like a couple of weeks. It's just wild, man, that this stuff. And it's like people can be like, oh, whatever, but my experience, man, this is what happened, and that's my story. And you can tell me that stuff doesn't exist, but okay, then come out in the woods with me. Let's go, because I can. You'll see. And everyone I say that to is like, no, I don't want it. So why don't you? If it's such bullshit, then why won't you go out there with us or with me? Because I'm almost guaranteed. I'm telling you, I don't know if I'm a sensitive. I am a little. I don't talk to dead people or anything, and I'm not a medium, and I'm not a psychic. But ever since this thing with the auras, I also have a sensitivity. Like, I can walk into a house and tell you if something's there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. I just do. And I don't care if you think it's bullshit, because it's my reality.
Good.
And I deal with it all the time. Like, my kids are smart enough now. Like, we'll walk in, like we'll go on vacation and rent houses or do like Airbnbs, and they'll be like, we'll go in and they'll look right at me and be like, is there something here? Because it freaks them right out. I'm like, is there something here? And I'll be like, yes or no. And if there is, usually what I end up doing is praying and clearing the air, clearing the home or whatever. And anyway, dude, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I just know in my heart that this stuff is real. It's not fabricated. It's not bullshit. There is another realm where stuff is happening.
Absolutely.
And it affects ours. So yeah, man.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. That there's something else to all of this stuff. And the fact that you see the aura of so many different creatures of
almost every
all walks of life, right?
Yeah.
So with that would make me feel more like it's, because I think there's different factions to the Bigfoot, but I think maybe some of them are more like nature based, but I do think that some of them might be like a Nephilim spirit.
Yeah, or something like that, right? Or maybe they are actual descendants of the Nephilim.
Yeah. Absolutely. Which
or what you would call even. I mean, because you have different classifications, and this is all murky because we don't actually know,
right?
But you have, in the Bible, you have giants, you have Nephilim, and you have Eliud. Right now, some people have been under the impression in certain translations that like Eliud are the sons of or the offspring of Nephilim. I'm not sure if that's completely true. I think it's a whole nother classification, right? Giants, Nephilim, Eliud. Then there's another, in other spots, there's other entities that are talked about as well. So we just don't know what we're dealing with here necessarily, right?
Absolutely.
People can say that they're experts or that they do know, but you just don't, man. But I can tell you, in my experience, I know that something's going on. And it is definitely supernatural. There's a interdimensional component to this, and I don't know about Bigfoot and interdimensional stuff. But what is it? Because not only do we have Bigfoot, we have Dog Man, we have Goat Man, we've got, back from antiquity, we have So here's the crazy part. If you look at folklore and mythological stories and all these stories, you go back. The one thing that I never have seen in doing research is that doesn't show up in any pantheons. And I could be wrong, but I haven't found it, is an ape. Right? You have minotaurs, you've got dogs, you've got eagles, you've got bulls, you've got everything, snakes, serpent type things, whether they're people classify them as angels or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all kind of this human hybrid thing, right?
Right.
But why on the walls in like Egypt and I feel like maybe there's like an ape god in like Asia somewhere, but I'm not positive. But you don't see apes in a lot of places, right?
Yeah.
Now you do hear about it in folklore from Native Americans, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Going back, who knows, hundreds, thousands of years, but everything's oral history. Not that discounts it.
Right.
But there are, these Sasquatch entities, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever the hell you want to call them, entities back hundreds or thousands of years in Native American folklore. That's the only thing that I've seen in, story-wise within the folklore mythology kind of ethos. I don't know if I'm correct, but I see all manner of other things, but I've never seen an ape in like the Egyptian pantheon or the Greek pantheon or the Norse pantheon, because I think those are all the same entities. They just are rebranded by different folks, right?
Yep.
And I think those are either, I think they're probably mostly Nephilim, or giants, Nephilim and Eliud, just posing as gods, right? They're the gods. Maybe some of them are watchers. Maybe some of them are angels, or as like what Gary Wayne will call the celestial mafia godfathers, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that, and that's what my gut tells me. Yeah, man, that's a rabbit hole.
That is a rabbit hole. I could probably talk about that forever because I have like you, I have so many theories and so many thoughts on all of this stuff. It gets really interesting, and the rabbit hole goes deep on religion and history. So
yeah,
it's an interesting topic, but
that's like 30 episodes.
Oh, for sure. Or more.
I mean, it's definitely more, but like one of the things I'm embarking on actually starting this morning is one of the things I'm going to do for the next 6 months is every Sunday I'm doing a supernatural biblical story, starting with, the one I'm going to do this morning is actually the fight between Michael and Lucifer over Moses's body. Like, what's that all about? Right.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the first one. And then I'm basically going from Genesis through the Bible. There's, I think, 15 parts of the the Old Testament, 15 episodes in the Old Testament and 10 in the New, plus this story I'm telling today. I'm just trying to expand, bro. And this stuff intrigues me so much that I'm just going to start telling these stories.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I want to be, I also want to be a writer. So,
yep.
I've been working on that a lot. So, and I believe that doing the podcast has opened that creativity in me.
Absolutely.
To be able to do that. So I'm very grateful and thankful for everybody that I've met, because so many people have given me, pointers and
Yeah,
and
all these people that we're surrounding ourselves with, man, are good idea factories. They
absolutely.
are good idea fairies, whatever you want to call them. That's kind of how I look at it. Guys like Doc Brown,
Yep.
especially guys like one of the other guys I really talk to is Steven from the Biblical Hitmen
Mhm.
podcast. Trebles Garcia, who you've interviewed as well. Dude, that guy,
He talks so
he's wild.
fast. I'm
He
like,
does. He's wild. He's
I didn't
awesome.
catch half of that.
And then, of course, the crew like Riley and uh, God, Drewski and guys like that, and Harley, and everyone's got their good input. But the one thing you've got to realize is, in this whole mishmash of stuff that we're talking about, is you've got to find your own way, because opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one,
Everybody's got one.
and they usually stink.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've got to really find your own way, and don't be overly influenced. Take everything in, but then put it through your own discernment filter.
Right.
Because everyone's relationship with these things is different. So, you might end up in the same spot, but your journey is going to be different than my journey is going to be different than your journey. Right.
Absolutely.
So this is one of those things that people need to really embark on. It's lonely. I know you know what I'm talking about. It can be really lonely, but then we hook up with these other guys and gals that are just cool people. And, it's not necessarily all about cryptids or supernatural and stuff like that, but it's just like, it's cool to be in a part of a community that gets it.
Right.
Because so many people just don't.
Mm-hmm. And it's usually the most people that don't are the people that have been close to you your entire life. So,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I talk about this all the time too, is starting the podcast, letting people know the podcast, just being like asking for support from, family and friends and whatnot, and you don't get it.
No, you really don't.
So,
and it scares the shit out of people too.
yeah.
Some of it, but like my kids slowly are coming. I have 4 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Damn, that's a lot of girls.
Yeah, dude, it's karma, and
in
she's
one spot.
Karma, and she's a vengeful bitch. That's what I have to say.
Yes, she is.
But I know you have kids too.
Yeah.
And but I'm very lucky. I'm blessed to have a wife that, regardless of whether she buys any of this stuff, she believes in me.
Mm-hmm.
And is very supportive, thank goodness, and puts up with the crap and all the stuff. She's like, hey, you do you, whatever, and as long as it doesn't, adversely affect our family, I'm fine with that. And luckily, I pray, we haven't had any bad stuff happen, but I pray a lot, man, and cover the family a lot, because you do see it in this industry, folks, where it's like they get to a certain point and bad things start happening in their lives.
Yep.
Some of their loved ones start suffering and things happen, and it makes you think, is that just life, or is this retaliation maybe?
Mm-hmm. Right. Like, I had a friend that was a avid paranormal investigator, and he was out there all the time. Like, it was almost every day. And he was making videos about it. He had a YouTube and everything. And then he decided that he was going to do it literally every day. He's like, I'm going to do an hour every day. We're going to investigate this area, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And he got halfway through it, and he's like, I'm being spiritually attacked. His channel's gone. His freaking, all his social medias for the YouTube channel are gone, everything. And he completely changed his life.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, there's something out there.
Yeah, I definitely have. I have a prayer that I say it before I go on the mic every time now, because when I have not, shit doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually surrounding stuff with demons. As soon as I start talking about demon stuff, whether it's with Jerry Marzinski, I don't know if you know who he is. I did an interview with him. He is a psychotherapist and
Okay.
has been for 40 plus years. And he's convinced that most schizophrenics are actually being oppressed
Mm-hmm.
by demonic type characters or entities of some sort. And we spent 20 minutes trying to get audio squared away on his, and he's like, this happens to me all the time. I interviewed another demon. She's a demon folklorist. That's her title. And her recording, I didn't pray before it. Her recording's all whacked out.
Oh shit.
I mean, I still published it, but it's an example of like, and other people, like I've talked to some people that the same types of things have happened to, and it's like the words don't, it's just and who knows, maybe, it's what we are manifesting and we think is real, or we're giving meaning to something that doesn't, it's just actual technology messing up. But I don't know. It's happened so many times that it's not coincidence per se. I think there's something to it. So now, and every time sometimes I've had to stop interviews for a second, pray, and then that's the thing. Like Jerry Marzinski and I, is once we prayed, instantaneously everything starts working. It's crazy. So I'm just saying, I don't know what that is, but I have a good idea of what I think it is, and I'm sure everyone else does as well. But the struggle's real, man. It's there, and I say prayers for guys like Tony Merkel every day, where he's going through the ringer, man, and he's still pushing forward, which is awesome. But his family's kind of getting put through the ringer right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have opinions on that, but again, opinions are
like assholes.
So,
yeah.
Scott Carpenter's another example. People think that he was targeted and then taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say?
Right. Absolutely.
Anyway,
it's stranger things happen sometimes.
Yes, for sure.
It's interesting. But the last question I have for you is, are you, with your podcast journey and everything that you're doing, I mean, I know you said you backed off from researching a little bit, but are you finding fulfillment right now in your life with all this?
Tons. Love it. It's like my purpose, frankly. It's kind of like I look at my purpose is to put out broadcast all the seeds.
Yeah.
Literally imagine, I want people to visualize. Everyone knows what a seed broadcaster looks like, whether it's on a tractor or on your lawn thing where you pour seed into into the thing that you push in your lawn. That's what you need to visualize. That's my mission. That's what I'm doing. I'm broadcasting seeds across the airwaves, just not literally, physical seeds. And I feel I've been led to this for a reason. I love it. I really do. And I don't have any, see, I got to a point with other podcasts that I've done where I just got like a block. It's like I couldn't think up new material. I have enough material saved on my phone and this book. Yeah, it's kind of scary that it's only in one book, but on my book and the phone, that I could do 3 years of podcasts.
Wow.
And I just like, I'm actually being drawn in or told or pushed to do more. So I'm actually, and the other thing that's happening is I've got to back off guests a little bit. My best content and the content that's actually been pushed out the most are solo episodes that I've done. The 20 to 45 minute blocks have really like double the views that I do with guests. And it's not a monetary thing. It is, but it's not. It's kind of like I see what maybe the market is asking for, and I'm switching to 3 episodes a week, and 2 of them will be solo. One of them is going to be the biblical focus supernatural. Another one is going to be just random stuff like an episode that I just recorded solo is a one on werewolves. So just covering the whole gamut of stuff just to make people think and use critical thinking and say, okay, I'm not there pushing an agenda. And I get so many comments in all my social media, whether it's YouTube, Instagram. I mean, the places I get the most engagement is YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And people will always, you call them trolls, but people will always come at you, and they're coming at me. And what I'm telling folks is like, you're coming at me. All I'm doing is giving you the information that's out there. This is not my opinion. So it's like, do I need to put a disclaimer at the beginning? Like, this is not my opinion. This is just where the research took me. Right. Like they come at me as though it's my opinion that, I can't even give you an example, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just broadcasting seeds, man. I'm just trying to get people to think outside the box and use critical thinking again, because this culture that we live in has been dissuaded from critical thinking for
sure.
so long that it's been stifling to us and our creative thoughts and whatnot. So yes, I am having a blast doing this and meeting guys like you and being on the podcast. I just want to thank you again for having me on. It's always a pleasure and an honor. So
yeah,
thanks.
Man. Well, I'm happy that you're having a good time doing what you're doing, because that's all we can ask for. Like I do the podcast because I like to do it, and there's people that will give me pointers and you should do this, you should do that, you should change the way you do your intro and blah 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 blah. I'm like, if I change anything of the way I'm doing it, I'm not gonna like it. Like I want to do it the way that I want to do it. I was like, if you're not gonna listen to it because of this little thing, then don't fucking listen to it.
Exactly.
So, and that's where I'm at with people. So I will never change something the way that I want to do it. And when it comes to this podcast, and because I love doing it, but I want to thank you for taking the time to do this as well, because time is our currency.
It is.
And the fact that you chose to do this with me means the world to me. Yeah. So thank you for that. But for everybody listening and or watching, if you don't mind, following, sharing, and subscribing, those are the best ways to help this show grow, as well as Bennett's show, Broadcasting Seeds. If you check that out, rate, review, do all that stuff to help him out. But I also have Patreon, which if you want to help out financially, obviously I don't really push it because I don't care. But if it's there if you want to, and it does help out a lot with all these programs that I pay for this stuff. So, but other than that, if your podcatcher doesn't let you leave a rating or a review, please consider doing so on the website where the weird ones are podcast.com. That is also where you can get merch like the shirt behind me. I have a ton of other designs there as well as hot sauce, coffee, supplements. I also do short stories that are on there. So if you're interested, check that out. But other than that, that's all I got for you. And again, please check out Broadcasting Seeds. Bennett's doing an awesome job over there. I really enjoy it. And I'm glad to be able to have this conversation with him today. So without further ado, you guys know the drill. Question everything and stay weird.
the quiet of the night, when the world feels far, there's a voice through the static, like a falling star. It calls the misfits, the dreamers, the ones who see the shadows in the corners, the truth we barely believe. From the pine tree woods to the desert skies, they talk of ghosts and aliens with wonder in their eyes, not afraid to ask the questions that others won't dare. 'Cause the world gets strange when you stop and stare. Come gather around where the weird ones are, by the fireside glow or a midnight call, where the stories run deep and the secrets fly like owls in the dark or stars in the sky. If you've ever felt lost, like you don't belong, you found your place, you found your song, right here where the weird ones are. They'll talk of cryptids, time slips, and deja vu, of spirits that linger and what might be true. But more than the monsters, it's the people you'll find who dare to be open with curious minds. It's not about fear, it's the thrill of the ride, to question the world with wonder as guide. So pull up a chair, let your freak flag fly, we're the seekers of truth beneath the sky. Yeah, come gather around where the weird ones are, on the moonlit thoughts and cosmic scars, where the veil feels thin and the questions burn, and we chase the strange at every turn. You're not alone, not in the dark, you're with a tribe. You found the spark right here where the weird ones are. For the ones who wonder, for the ones who know, welcome home.